Alright guys, we're going to do something a little different today. What you're looking at is my 1988 Chevy k3500. It was actually built exactly 34 years ago today. I know what date it was built because I have the build sheet. Now, a reason I'm wasting your time with the old work truck is I was thinking that the number of subs I have at this point, there may be somebody around that can help me out. And I'm not the type of person that really asks for help very often. I really am not. But let's see, what did we have? The issue we have with the old work truck right now is I ran the battery completely dead, okay? So the Holley Projection 4DI, which is laptop tunable, somehow or other lost the EEPROM programming, which doesn't even sound right. I know computers well enough to know that that doesn't make sense. But since that happened, I can barely get it running. It's only got base fuel curve in it, and the ignition is, it's basically undrivable. So it really hasn't budged in months. My neighbors, I'm sure, hate me, but that's just tough. I tried to get a different EEPROM from it, from Holley. I tried to hook it up with an old computer, try to be able to do it. It's a DOS program. It's the computer's from '95, so it's tough to interface with it. But I mean, I told my wife today, I'm like, you know what? Truck's 34 years old. I'm buying a fuel injection system. She goes, how much? I said, $1 million, of course. You know, I don't know what it costs. It doesn't really matter. But I had a feeling that somebody that watches my stuff on YouTube has got like a brand new throttle body injection 4-barrel system sitting on the shelf ready to go. I like the Terminator. I really like the Terminator. I'm not that big a fan of the Sniper. The Sniper's got crappy air radiuses, but the Terminator's really hot. And I was going to buy one a few months ago, and it was absolutely not available due to all the shipping issues. But since it's 34 years old, it's getting a new fuel injection system. Another part of the problem is since it dropped the EEPROM issue, it grunted the starter a couple times. It actually broke one of the bolts on the block. I should probably tell you about the engine on the old work truck. The engine's actually a cool piece. I built it for my dad's '69 Longhorn pickup in the '90s. I actually used a Mexico block. And if you ever get your hands on a Mexico block, take a good look at it. Some of the machining on it is not great, but due to machining tolerances in Mexico, they cast everything extra heavy. So that block was literally as thick as a bow tie block. The cylinders were ridiculous thick. And it's something to think about. I knew it was going to be used in a heavy-duty application, so I said, what the heck, you know what? We used the Mexican block. The engine is really nothing special. It was my what I consider an economy engine, because it was going to be, my dad was going to drive it. So it's forged flat tops, balanced rods with good bolts, 4-bolt block, cast crank, comp hydraulic roller 260, the smallest hydraulic roller they had at the time. HEI distributor that interfaces with the fuel injection. Ported 083s, heads with 20216s, roller springs, comp full roller rockers, the good ones. Ported out intake manifold, Holley 900 CFM throttle body fuel injection, shorty headers, modified to a double hook aero chambers in parallel, coming out with a single 3-inch pipe. And that was actually a temporary engine. The old the '69 truck got sold. I kept the engine out of it, and the 406 that was in the truck was I always call it a 408, but it was a 406. The 406 that was in the truck, I was just tired of buying high test gas for it. It was 11 and a quarter to 1, and it was ridiculous. It only got like 6 miles to the gallon. So I mean, yeah, it made probably 480 horsepower, but it was just stupid. So I dropped this little 355 in there. I can't even tell you how many years ago it was. It was 3 houses ago. It's been in there a long time, but it's a good running engine until this fuel injection issue. So I'm hoping that somebody that watches my junk got at least an idea for me. I mean, I do have that. I've got that TPI project that's laying inside, but it still needs a complete computer and so forth. And it's not like I'm afraid of something like that. I'm really not afraid of it. I just got to set some time aside and fix the starter issue. Seems like the starter bracket is missing. That had an extra bracket on the front of the starter. That's missing. I don't know why. I don't remember taking it off. All right, little rambling. I should probably tell you about the rest of the old truck. A lot of it is just the way it was built. The Turbo 400 tranny got a deep pan, heavy duty cast iron deep pan, and I did a special shift kit for it, and I put a replaceable outside oil filter for the transmission. It was the 1 ton, so it had an engine oil cooler, so that's always been hooked up. Stock torque converter. The rear end is a 14-bolt 373 with the GM Swiss watch posi, which when you start smoking up one tire, it throws a weight out and it locks it, and then it smokes the other tire up, which when I had the truck within the first few months, I brought it in. I said, this rear end's got a problem. And the guy looks at it and he's like, yeah, you busted the freaking ring gear. I think it was the ring gear. Or I broke the Swiss watch. I don't remember now. He goes, you got a big block in that, right? And I looked at him. I go, no, I got a small block. He goes, yeah, it must have been mismanufactured. It had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with what I was doing. I mean, that truck had 11,000 miles on it. The heads were off. My dad was like, you're out of your mind. And of course, he's right. He was always right. That's what dads do, But I was like, Dad, it's 185 horsepower. It's a complete dog. I can't take it. I have to do something with it. So, for 34 years, that's been a good trusty companion. And literally, I think the thing's been towed 2 or 3 times in 34 years. Of course, they were always my fault. And I used to do all my R&D on it. I think I've had at least 7 different engines in that thing all these years. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, doing something different today. The old work truck. Overall, I mean, the Florida sun has beat the paint right off of it, but I'm not afraid of putting some paint on it. And I'm going to be putting it all back together and driving it again soon. Thanks a lot.